Are we about to witness XRP and HBAR having a major breakout? Well, we're going to be talking about it. Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. And also for all of those watchers out there, don't forget to follow me on all socials down in the description below and join the free Discord to have an eye at my portfolio, get access to my trading alerts, and so much more. Now, outside of that, let's talk about a few things before we even get a little bit bullish. So, Bitcoin, we want to focus on initially because this is what the Bitcoin chart looks like. Now, everyone was screaming bullish, bullish, bullish. I don't understand why everyone is getting so bullish up in this area up here. All of this is the no-no zone. This is where you should be cautious on Bitcoin. Why? Because we don't have a confirmed breakout above the recent highs. We don't actually have any bullish indicators on Bitcoin yet until we clear $74,000 on Bitcoin. And also, just take a quick look at the RSI. RSI was around the same exact area it was back in the end of May, right before we had that major correction. So RSI was already, falling. It was actually losing momentum here while the price was still going up. What does that mean? Bearish divergence. Now, also momentum on the MACD is also losing momentum bullish wise. So this is about to flip bearish. Now, the big thing to focus on is we are in a fair value gap here, which we don't technically need to lose the lows at about $65,300. If we do, then I am eyeing the recent low at about $63,474. But I don't believe that is the area Bitcoin is trying to target. In fact, if we go to the 3-day chart, there is a substantial fair value gap down here at about $59,916 to about $63,200. That is the area at which I am personally focused on when it comes to Bitcoin. Now, we could go even lower, and the reason why I say that is because look at the area where we were finding the most amount of resistance, even going back to July 21st. It's right around roughly $68,400. This is the same resistance level back here in the beginning of March before we ran up to almost $4,000. But do you see the next daily candle where we wicked all the way down here to about $59,200? Yeah, that's a possibility still. We could very well run those lows one more time before having that big move to the upside. I'm still very bullish on Bitcoin and for the rest of this market. But I do think that in the short term, we will still see some pain. And everyone is always, frustrated or mad about, seeing pain in the short term. Guys, I want you guys to understand that if we take out this low, that is grabbing a substantial amount of liquidity yet again to actually help us push higher. It's also resetting the sentiment. It's resetting indicators so that we could actually go higher. Right now, most of the market was very bullish on Bitcoin breaking out. You can actually see that we're still in greed. And at the Bitcoin conference, everyone was getting very, very bullish. So in the short term, I am expecting a bit of a sell-off. Now, as we really look at XRP and as we even look at HBAR, again, I told you guys when it comes to XRP, I am expecting that lower fair value gap to be ran on XRP as well. A lot of big accounts were getting very bullish on XRP as well, which was a warning sign to me. Everyone was, talking about the settlement, talking about, an explosive breakout and all this kind of stuff. Listen, when we address XRP and even HBAR, I do believe that these two are on the cusp of a major breakout. The problem is that we still need to see some work put in on both these charts, which I will analyze. But over here, as we really look at one thing, I have been following the BlackRock spot ETF purchases when it comes to Bitcoin, but also the number one thing that I'm really watching for right now when it comes to any of these dashboards is the ETH ETFs. Okay, as we really look at BlackRock, this is what I have been analyzing, their transactions. And if we go back to 3 days ago, there's 3 transactions here. The first one was 2,728 Ethereum, followed by 10,000 Ethereum and another 10,000 Ethereum. They are stacking Ethereum for their Ethereum ETF. And we could actually see those transactions here. Now, what's crazy about this, the number one thing that I want to focus on when it comes to the Ethereum ETFs is the inflows. So far, they haven't been significant, but this is to be expected, especially if we go back to the Bitcoin ETFs, which I've talked to you guys about, right? Even back here, this was the BlackRock, not the BlackRock, the Bitcoin ETFs going live, right? This was the next day after they went live, because they went live on January 10th. We had a nice spike up, and then we sold off heavy. Okay, we have the same thing happening right now, where we had a spike up in the market, and now we're starting to see a little bit of a sell-off on Bitcoin. Ethereum is also having a sell-off. If we actually take a quick look at the Ethereum 7-day, we had that nice little run-up, and now we're selling off. This is to be expected, especially with these ETFs. Now, one thing that I heard recently was from BlackRock CIO regarding ETFs and index investments. They were actually on Bloomberg talking about ETFs, specifically allocation towards ETFs. Now, everyone's getting a little bit bullish on these ETFs. The number one thing that I'm focused on when it comes to Ethereum and even Bitcoin ETFs is Ethereum outperforming the Bitcoin ETFs. Because guess what we see? The flippening narrative starting to be focused on. Now, listen closely to what they are saying here.
You saw the outflows from ETHE. People always ask me, well, aren't these just flows coming out of there?
And by the way, here you have those flows. This is regarding Ethereum ETF flows. You can see the positive ones, and then you can see the negative one, which is Grayscale. Again, the same exact thing happening here that happened with the Bitcoin ETFs. Grayscale was leading with negative volume, aka outflows, 1.51 billion. But if you actually look at iShares and Bitwise and all of them, specifically iShares, because remember that iShares is BlackRock, we could see 442 million, followed by 265 million, 200 and almost 20 million. Once we start to see these inflows being greater than the outflows, that's when the real fun begins for Ethereum. And that's when we start to hear a lot of bullish discussions around Ethereum. Remember, when we start to hear those bullish discussions, it's actually very beneficial to push Ethereum into the spotlight, where we start to see Bitcoin dominance dropping, leading the way for Ethereum and altcoins to take over.
Into the other ones, because net positive, it's actually a little less than zero for these. Or are there new people coming into your fund?
Look, we're 1 week in, Eric, but I think you raise a really important point. This was a strong launch, but this is a story in the early days about access and finding the optimum access points for investors who want Ethereum in their portfolios. And so we were actually, if you look at trading volumes, because it's important to look at both, Ether was, I think, 40% of new assets gathered, but 25% of trading volumes, because there has been a lot of outflows, not just from the other Ethereum higher priced ETF product, but probably also from proxy vehicles, because investors really want to get their ETH exposure, especially if they're going to use it in the context of an overall portfolio in an ecosystem they have confidence in.
And now another thing a lot of people are looking for, the next sort of catalyst will be these big wirehouses. Morgan Stanley, Wells Fargo, UBS, they've got trillions of advisor assets. Where are they at in terms of onboarding these ETFs and even soliciting them?
Yeah, that is exactly what I think will be the story of this year and next year. They are doing their jobs, and their job is risk analytics, due diligence, and really looking at, and they look at them very differently, of course, because, you know, as we know, Bitcoin and ETH are two very different asset classes with different use cases, but looking at their role in the portfolio, and particularly their utility as portfolio diversifiers. And I think what will then happen towards the end of this year and into next year is we will see allocations made in model portfolios, which will give us much more of a steer as to how investors are using them.
Has BlackRock put the crypto ETFs into your own model portfolios?
So our not into our model portfolios, and all of our model allocations and also all of our holdings period are generally public. So you can see where we have allocations, either very small allocations, either to crypto or crypto futures or crypto ETFs.
And I am curious. I mean, you've got Bitcoin, you've got Ether, you're leading the market there. Are you done? Are we going to see a BlackRock Solana ETF, for example? What's next?
Not in the near term. So we really look at the investability to see what meets the criteria, what meets the bar to be delivered in an ETF. And for us right now, both between investability considerations and also what we hear from our clients, Bitcoin and ETH definitely meet that bar. I think it will be a while before we see anything else.
So yeah, I mean, we're going to keep hearing these discussions. BlackRock is going to continue to pump volume into, these ETFs around Bitcoin and Ethereum, which will lead the way for, at some point in time, Ethereum to take over. Now, once we start to see that, we will witness the Ethereum Bitcoin pair breaking out. Number one thing to focus on here is momentum, right? Stock RSI is starting to impulse to the upside, very similar to what we saw back here in June of 2022 into roughly July and August of 2022 and even September. Now, obviously, during that time, there were some altcoins, starting to have a little bit of a breakout. But then, of course, we saw the market bottom around October, November of 2022, and then Bitcoin led the way going forward, which is why we started to see this really kind of inverse. Now, as we really look at this chart, I am expecting a very large inverse reaction to the upside where Ethereum is actually breaking out against Bitcoin. That will happen once we break over the moving average on the RSI, very similar to going all the way back to January of 2020. And this actually started to happen very early on until we started to have a retest of the moving average. And then this just took off. And this is when Ethereum started to lead the way in the market because remember, Ethereum started to break out at the end of December. Actually, I think it was the beginning of December into January. And then it just took off. And that's when alt season officially began. Now, even as we really look at Ethereum dominance as well, we could see that the RSI is at the same exact point in time of the June 2022 lows for most of the market. And then also going all the way back here to October and almost December of 2022. And we already know what ended up happening after. And I'm expecting the same exact thing here, right? Where we start to see this chart just kind of ranging, which it is. And then off of these lows, we have a very significant move to the upside. We are still watching to see momentum on the MACD down here to actually support a much larger move. Stock RSI, typically lagging, right? Already has started to really kind of move to the upside. And this is when we really watch for Ethereum to take the lead. Once we see that, dominance will be usurped from Bitcoin into Ethereum and then into altcoins. So we still have to wait a little bit. So our XRP and HBAR on the cusp of a massive breakout? Not exactly. If we actually take a quick look at XRP dominance, this thing has been, trying to break out in a big way. Now, the big thing to focus on here is a major momentum push. And what I mean by that is let's go back in time. Here we have March of 2017. We want to see an engulfing candle like this. We want to break over these recent lows going all the way back to, 2022. We want to take out this liquidity. We want to break over this and target that upper trend line. This would support XRP dominance gaining significantly in this space, supporting a much larger move on XRP. But this won't happen until we start to see dominance flowing into Ethereum and then flowing down the line. Now, the number one thing that I'm focused on here with XRP, and remember, this is on the monthly chart, so this is a macro chart. This is why I said, like short term, yeah, I'm not expecting a massive breakout on XRP and HBAR, but I am expecting a breakout probably over the next month or two, because if we look at momentum on the MACD, we could see that this is starting to lose momentum, and this is bearish momentum losing momentum. So this is going to flip into bullish momentum, supporting a large move, just like we saw back in August of 2022 when this started to move to the upside, and then it retested this trend line back in July of 2023, and then we sold off. And this is when XRP got deemed not a security. Now, if we actually look at stock RSI, every single time that we've had a very large move to the upside, we saw stock RSI ranging sideways. We just saw our stock RSI ranging sideways. We're waiting for an impulsive move here as well. And then, of course, RSI, very similar to Ethereum, we want to break over the moving average and have a major move to the upside. Same with August of 2022 all the way into July of 2023. That's what we want to see. We want to see RSI flip this moving average and then continue even higher. The same goes all the way back in 2017 and 2018. We have that major move all the way into May of 2017. Then, of course, we sold off while the market really kind of just led its way. And then XRP moved into December of 2017, spiking up, supporting a much larger move to its all-time high. Now, outside of this, XRP Bitcoin, very similar situation to XRP dominance, right? We have a macro trend line that we just recently hit. This goes back to April of this year, actually. We ranged on this, had a nice little impulsive move here. We need a much larger move. What's supporting this? Well, again, similar to dominance, we have MACD momentum dying out for bearish momentum. We have the stock RSI ranging sideways, waiting for an impulse move to the upside. And RSI itself, we need to clear that moving average. Once we break over that moving average, that's when the real fun begins for XRP. So we're getting close. We're not on the cusp exactly, but we are getting close when it comes to XRP. Altcoins will most likely lead the way very, very soon. Once we start to see dominance usurped off of Bitcoin into Ethereum, that's when the real fun of the cycle actually starts for altcoins. I know everyone's, anticipating this. They're waiting. They're losing faith. They're losing hope in it. But I just want you guys to all understand that we are getting close. Now, as we do really kind of look at HBAR itself, so with HBAR dominance, we don't have a ton of price data to go off of. I really kind of like looking at the 3-week when it comes to HBAR dominance. And if we look at this, I want to go all the way back here to March of 2021. So off of the lows back here, this started to range sideways. We took out the liquidity and continued higher to support an all-time high. Right now, we're just kind of ranging on that support. We need to take out this liquidity up here. That will lead for HBAR dominance to really kind of gain momentum in the space and possibly even pump to like 1% plus. It's going to take some time for that to happen because right now we're at about 0.1%. So we have a little bit of ways to go here. The number one thing that I'm watching for is stock RSI being completely bottomed out here, especially going all the way back to like the 2022 timeframe before I had a spike up. Also, even similar to December of 2020 as well. I actually think that we're in a very similar spot here of like the 2020 timeframe because we have this downtrend, right? This downtrend that just formed back here in 2020 while Bitcoin led the market, and then all at once we had that massive breakout to the upside. Again, we have this downtrend forming here. We don't know how deep this is going to go. Could it go deeper? 100%. In fact, if we actually take a quick look at this, we could take out liquidity down here, right? We can continue even lower, and then we have that impulse move. This would happen if Bitcoin is taking a lot more dominance from the space, or even technically Ethereum, which if we're looking at Ethereum, it's getting ready for a big spike to the upside. So I do think that altcoins might take a little bit more of a back seat here as we wait for that. Also, we want to see RSI actually have a breakout. Right now, this thing has been also in a very significant downtrend, just waiting for something to happen. And during this entire time, it's basically just ranging. Even when we look at the HBAR Bitcoin pair, I've been following the HBAR Bitcoin pair for a while here. Let's actually zoom in. Now, one thing that I will say, when we talk about HBAR being bottomed out or even XRP being bottomed out, just take a look at these charts. Guys, the area at which we are trading on, and this is the 3-week candle, by the way, is major support going all the way back to December of 2020 into January of 2021. Again, during that exact time, look at what ended up happening in the market for HBAR. This thing had a massive breakout to the upside. This would support HBAR going absolutely parabolic in the space. I do think that we're getting close. Like I said, I don't think that we're exactly on the cusp. I do think that we have a little bit more time, but we are getting very, very close. And even as we really look at RSI, this thing is right around the same exact point where we had that nice impulsive move back in January into February of 2023. And also even more recently, back in May of 2023 into July of 2023 as well. Stock RSI, pretty oversold, back into the same exact areas from roughly December of 2020 and even into the 2023 timeframe. We want to see MACD momentum really kind of start picking up bullish wise to support a much larger move. And also, if we actually take a quick look at the USD pair for HBAR, so I think it's actually on the Binance chart. Yeah, so this is the chart that I've been really kind of watching for when it comes to HBAR. If we look at the 1-month time frame on this, we can see something happening here. And what are we seeing? Well, one, we are breaking down below the moving average, which is hinting at HBAR being bearish, which technically, yes, it is. Stock RSI also resetting into the halfway point, and momentum on MACD is dying down. And this is happening because as we really look at the space, altcoins are not leading the way right now. If we go back to the 3-week chart, this is what the 3-week chart looks like as well. Again, RSI under the moving average, stock RSI basically getting back down into oversold areas. MACD momentum dying out. This is not supporting HBAR moving significantly higher in the space yet, but I do believe that this will soon lead to it. Why? Well, let's take a look at the area that we just wicked back down to in July. This area of support around roughly, it's like less than 6 cents. This is not only a significant area of support going all the way back to 2022, but it's also a significant area of resistance going all the way back to 2020 into 2021. The number one thing that I'm watching for here is really kind of just following the patterns of 2020 into 2021 and kind of comparing it to where we are at right now. Again, during this time, we had a nice little spike up. Then we just ranged sideways. Right now, we have this nice little spike up. And technically, it started back in October of 2023. We have this nice spike up in the market. And we're just kind of ranging sideways. Now, I don't believe that we have to wait this long for a big breakout. RSI is already at the point where we were really kind of ranging sideways back here in September of 2020 into, December of 2020 before that big spike to the upside. So I do think that this is basically at that midpoint where this would be just kind of ranging here, waiting for that big break to the upside, which will happen once dominance is usurped from Bitcoin into Ethereum into altcoins. And the number one thing that I'm watching for is the stock RSI from 2020 and kind of comparing it to where we're at right now, which is why I said like this is kind of supporting us, going sideways or possibly even selling back down into like sub 6 cents, which would be the area at which I target it from July of June 17th, sorry, the 3-week time frame of June 17th. That's the area at which I'm really kind of looking at when it comes to HBAR. And then just when we look at MACD momentum, I want this to start picking up in a large way. Even though, we had a nice breakout back here, the MACD momentum to support the all-time high move, this thing was already pretty bearish in terms of MACD momentum. So we could technically still be in a bearish momentum and still move to like an all-time high. But I don't think that that's going to happen. I think that this is actually going to flip bullish to support that much more larger move to take out this liquidity up here around like 18.5 cents and then push even higher. But it's going to take some time. All of these charts, when we really kind of look at XRP and even HBAR, the number one thing that I'm really kind of watching for is Ethereum. We need Ethereum to lead the way. That way, we could move into phase 3 and phase 4 of alt season. I don't think that we have much time when it comes to this. If we look at Bitcoin and as we really look at this entire space, I would ultimately assume that by the end of August, we should be in alt season. We should be. But we're gonna take it one day at a time, and really kind of address this. But to answer everyone's question, like, is XRP and HBAR on the cusp of a massive breakout? I don't believe so. I think that these are probably going to range. Most of the altcoin market will range while Bitcoin and Ethereum really kind of do their thing. We still need to see Bitcoin dominance break down in a very large way. I have been following this for a little bit of time, as you guys already know. Recently, we did have a nice spike to the upside of roughly almost 57%. The good news is that we didn't even make a double top. We just hit that area where I would be expecting a sell-off. And if we actually look at this on the 3-week tab, this is the area at which I'm really looking at altcoins. Overall, momentum is dying out. RSI, once we lose the moving average and really lose it in a big way, that's when I really do think that all season officially begins. So, like I said, I don't think that we have too much time. By the end of August, we should be in all season. And I do think that we top around roughly Q4 of this year, Q1 2025, the latest. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.